Somebody keeps sending me these.
You gotta be within 50 feet to send a drop. It's someone in the restaurant.
Think I only want one number in my phone. Number in my phone.
Violet, everything
How's it
okay?
going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, the writer and creator of the Happy Death Day films has cooked up a new intense psychological thriller, one that deals with something that we all dread: text messages. This is my review of Drop. A few years on from escaping a volatile and abusive relationship, Violett is preparing to step back into the dating world and meet Henry at a swanky high-rise restaurant. However, this date soon becomes the front-runner for the worst first date ever, after Violett begins receiving mysterious and increasingly threatening airdrop messages on her phone, and with her son and sister's lives at stake, she may be forced to do the unthinkable and kill her date. A somewhat intriguing premise that uses modern technology against us in a certain way. It's a thriller that kind of fills in those loopholes and questions that you might bring up to the surface, such as how to outsmart the aggressor, how to try and call for help. It kind of nips those in the bud fairly early on. The overall intention is that it wants the audience to be as involved as possible, for them to try and think, how would I get myself out of this situation? For me personally, after like the second or third creepy message that I would have had come up on my phone, I probably would have just turned my phone off, but that would then ruin the rest of the movie. However, as the story of Drop progresses and certain motivations are revealed and twists are taken, it went in directions that, I've got to be honest, I didn't expect, mostly because they were really dumb. Now, I know that sounds quite harsh. I don't necessarily mean that entirely as a negative. It was just that I think I was expecting Drop to be a smarter movie than it actually was. The on-screen graphics popping up to reveal the text messages was a nifty little gimmick because they kind of stylize it so it floods the restaurant like it's an inescapable presence. That was cool. But Christopher Landon kind of dials up the campness of the film to an almost unbearable level when you've got an excessive use of spotlight moments and backlighting. At that point, any tension that the script had done a fairly solid job of building is now almost evaporated by this overwhelming sense of melodrama. Violett is played by Meghann Fahy, who does a perfectly serviceable job in the lead role. You can tell that her character is trying her best to stop from going completely hysterical, or else she'll give everything away, and the chemistry that she builds in a very awkward sense with Brandon Sklenar, I thought was very effective. The script also outlines an undercurrent theme of domestic abuse, from Violett's past to now how she's being exploited and gaslit again. Initially, I felt like those themes were handled respectfully. But there are a number of conversations had between characters where the topic of domestic abuse is brought up, and unfortunately, in those moments, it is handled in such an unsubtle, brick to the head kind of way. It kind of loses all meaning in the process. Some of these lines of dialogue and examinations of domestic abuse really would not look out of place on just a generic BuzzFeed article about toxic relationships. In my opinion, when this theme is examined in more detail in the second half of the film, I thought it was very poorly handled. So sure, it's pretty clunky in places, not all of the twists end up working, and logic is often discarded without a second thought. But once you settle in for the fact that Drop is merely simple, disposable entertainment, then I'm sure you'll be satisfied for those 90 minutes. It's one of those films where, if you're just after a quick escape, then Drop won't steer you wrong. I'm going to give Drop a 6 out of 10. Anyway, guys, those were my thoughts on Drop. Let me know, have you had a chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And my question to you, I would like to know, do you have any first date horror stories? Maybe none that can be quite as extreme as this film, but let me know in the comments. But that is all the time we have for today, so thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.